If we want to get into any discussions, we can. But we're gonna keep it light. You know, it's not gonna be as rough as usual tonight. Because we just don't feel like it. But yeah, no, I'm not feeling well either. So, okay. There's always one that wants to fight. Are you ready, Septic? If you have any topics you want to talk about, maybe news you heard or anything, it's up to you. You don't. If you don't have anything, that's absolutely fine. I'm glad you're just here to listen.
Yeah, not ready to fight or anything.
Okay, yeah.
Just chilling.
Perfect. Cool, man. Anyone have any?
It's beneficial.
Sorry. Oh yeah, you Matt.
I got one.
Yeah.
It's beneficial to it's beneficial to learn how to build at least one piece of furniture in your house.
I agree with that.
That's kind of cool. Which is the most beneficial?
I would say the easiest to start with would be a simple table. What it does is it forces you to buy specific tools, forces you to work with your hands a little bit, understand how that stuff works. But then you have you have some tools that you're ready for other things, right? But and then you can build something custom.
Yeah, are you counting like IKEA furniture?
Absolutely not.
Oh, fuck. Okay.
Absolutely not. No.
I was gonna be like, oh, I build every piece of furniture in my house, and it's like, nope, it's all pre-built. Follow the instructions.
Yeah. I think there might be a difference between assemble and build, but you still
right.
assemble. You still assemble it when you build it, but no, like going from scratch, figuring out what you want. But I feel like I don't know if there's a bad side to that. Like, I don't know. Maybe if you don't have any arms.
Ideally, any skill that you cultivate wants to be something as independent from the production line and the market as possible. So if you need to buy lumber, for example, to build your table, well, you're not, you're missing out on a lot of skill.
Yeah, you're not going out into the forest.
Actually chopping down the tree.
Okay, yeah, no, I mean, there's a line, definitely. I'm not going out to chop down a tree, mill it, dry it, plane it. Yeah, no, I'm good. No one has a lot of that equipment, and that's really expensive equipment as well.
Home Depot will cut your wood if you give it to them. Is that cheating? That's probably cheating.
Well, I mean, one really easy one to do is to buy a couple of 6x6 or 8x8 posts to build a behind the couch table, and you can use whatever joinery you'd like to, or don't use any joinery. You can just toenail some screws in there or whatever, and then you can also take it out back and beat the living shit out of it and make it a little rustic and put some age on it, maybe bury it for a couple of days, do whatever you want to it, stain it whatever you want. And all you're doing is taking an 8x8 post or get two 8x8 posts, one at 6 feet, one at 3 feet, cut 1.5, put them on the ends, and now you got yourself a small 8-inch table to put behind your couch to put stuff on. Very simple, very easy to do, but you're going to need to buy yourself a saw. And I guarantee you, if you buy yourself a circular saw and you cut that post in half, that's going to be rough. It ain't going to be a clean cut. So you're probably going to have to get yourself a sander. Probably going to have to get yourself some more tools to make that flush. Maybe you want to put a dovetail on it. Maybe you want to be tortoise cemented. Maybe you want to do something else. Maybe do something fancy. World's your oyster. But maybe make it look fancy and put some hardware on it.
Yeah. I'd say it probably starts in the research too. Like I've been stupid enough to start a project and you don't look into it until you start it, and then you're buying more tools than you thought you needed, and now you're deep into this thing just because of the tools you need to finish the project. And you're like, oh,
what did you do?
And
like
an
epoxy table or something? Yeah, what did you do?
Yeah, it's everything. Like you kind of mentioned it. Yeah, you find out you need a saw, a certain type of saw, a certain type of cut. Now you need something to clean it up, sand it down. Yeah. What are you looking for? A hand sander? You need a power sander kind of thing. You need some specialized tools for the joinery, like you said. Yeah, I think it starts. Yeah, research.
And
Well, I think
very
everyone-
rapidly, you're like, I've sunk so much into building this chair already. I just have to get this one more kind of sander. Never mind
You're not
that
wrong.
sander alone costs more than a new chair. I just need one more sander.
But you built it.
is. And this is, I think this is a good conversation about sunk costs, right? Because logically speaking, well, yeah, you could have gone and bought a new chair. But in terms of the meaning we take from it, that is why we have these sunk costs. So I don't think it's always a bad thing to say, hey, you know what? I built that. That gives me meaning, right? We all live that way, and we ought to. It's just when we're trying to be objective, we also think, I built that, right? And we make bad, for example, business decisions, political decisions, war decisions, because it's like, well, but I built that. It's my thing. And it feels like us, not just a thing that we're doing.
Yeah, you're tied to it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, especially the tools part. It's one thing to
Yeah.
be prepared for the tools you need, but it's an analogy for just life, right? The more tools you have in your bag, the better prepared you are at everything.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's
Well, I
true.
can tell you, there's some tools in my bag that I definitely don't give a shit about. But like,
This is it, EMAT. This is it. I went out and I bought that damned orbital sander, and now it just sits in my garage. I don't know. I'm not going to use it on anything else.
For that one-time use.
Yes.
And
we used it once, though, right? You used it once.
Yeah, it's great. And the kid's broke is thrown away. The thing I made. Yeah, it's great. Fine.
and not to meet the stereotype, but
Could have just borrowed your neighbors, but you went out and bought it.
cooking is
I
very
should talk to my
similar.
neighbors.
Where it's like, oh, I bought that one mixer that I never ever use that waits on the bottom, or this one slow cooker that I've used twice, or this one individual tool that's used for slicing lemons in a particular way. And
Of which,
It
does
piles
anyone need a
up.
food dehydrator? I
I
have
was like,
Oh,
how
that
many
thing
people
was a
have
waste.
that-
consumer food dehydrator.
How many people have that pizza cooker thing that just only just for reheating cold pizza?
I kind of like cold pizza, to be honest with you. I don't know.
No, but it's like air fryers. Like air fryers is a big thing, and they're like, oh, everyone needs an air fryer.
Oh yeah, everyone has an air fryer.
yeah,
I use my air fryer like every day. So.
yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
The air fryer is just use tinfoil,
That's a
and then
good
you never have to
tool.
clean it. You just throw stuff in there, and it cooks it.
That's a good tool right there.
Yes.
So I have a
Like 6
family of
coffee
8.
machines.
So what?
Wait,
I
what
have
else?
6 coffee machines.
That might be a bit
and I
much.
buy Starbucks almost every day.
Oh,
Okay.
That's emotional disorder, Josh.
yeah, a little
I
bit.
think it is. I think
It's mania.
I think that is
You need to
acceptable.
talk to somebody.
Yeah. It's good. It's good. Everyone should have a counselor. You should bring that up in the next session. Oh my god.
No, but I remember
think,
I bought a one of those where you can like hard boil like 8 eggs with like in like a little thing that you sit on your counter almost. I don't know why. I don't cook hard boiled eggs a lot, but for whatever reason I bought one of those where you could do like a dozen eggs. You could hard boil a dozen eggs in like 3 minutes or some silliness.
That's important.
I think it's mandatory to have at least a couple of things. You buy a couple of things in your kitchen that you'll use once, maybe.
I have a microwavable
and they
bacon
just take up
machine that
space.
I have that microwaves bacon. I've never used it once. It's still in the box for the
bought-
last 10 years.
I
Jesus.
bought that because it's like a silicone thing, and I was like grossed out, thinking I don't think I want to eat the bacon that comes out of this. It's like I was like, I want to be super lazy and just cook bacon in the microwave, and then I'm like, that sounds disgusting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I tell you what. I like when I eat hot dogs. I like to steam my buns, right, or throw them in the microwave. They make it like Costco, but so when I just moved to this place, I didn't have any of that. I don't have a microwave or nothing. I have plastic plates. So I thought it was a great idea. I was cooking hot dogs in the pot. I put a bunch of holes in one of the plastic plates, put it on top of the pot because it was steaming, and then I put another plate on top of it to like keep the steam. Went out, had a cigarette, came back in, and the plate was melted all
Yeah.
over the pot.
Plastic plates.
And I took it out, and I was like, "Oh, the buns are still good." And then I thought about it, and I was like, Are they though? I just steam these in like...
You know, that microplastics, it's so good.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know about this one, man. So yeah, I threw them out. I was like, I'm not taking that chance. Even as a smoker, I'm like, I'm not taking that chance. I don't know.
It's like, I just did like 3 cancer sticks, but I'm really worried
Yeah.
about my
Yeah,
plastic.
I'm
It's
all
freaking
over
like
this
6
one.
months.
This is the line. Yeah, this is this. Yeah.
At least there was a line. We can acknowledge that, right? Oh,
Yeah.
good golly.
Yeah.
But I think
So-
the oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was thinking about this bacon thing. This reminds me of the substitutionary. You think, I want bacon. I want a way to have my bacon without, dealing with the grease splattering all over me and turning on the stove. And so, because you so want the bacon, you go buy this thing. And really, it didn't answer the problem because you got an answer, but it wasn't an answer to your problem. It was an answer to someone else's problem, someone who will eat whatever comes out of that contraption, which ain't me, right?
Yeah.
So we do that all the time. We end up buying, for example, some community, like a faith community, because we want to know what's going to happen when we die, right? But is it really one that fits us, or are we just afraid, so that's what we're doing?
Interesting.
Yeah, ideally you'd be able to come up with more creative solutions on your own than what they're marketing to you. You'd be like, oh well, I don't want grease splatter, therefore I'm gonna stick it in the oven instead on a baking sheet.
Yeah, but that takes time. You have to
Yeah.
preheat the oven. Microwave is just
I think
hit
we
a
know the
button.
answer.
Depends on the oven you
Air-
got. If you got
Air fryer.
If you got an
Air
air
fryer.
fryer,
There you go. Like, you already answered the air fryer earlier.
Yeah, air fryer,
Yeah.
the cause
Exactly.
of and solution to all life's problems.
There you go.
Do they have
It's all about creative thinking. It's not about just people take their one serve recipe for everything. They see a problem and they're like, oh my gosh, problem. Then someone says, well, here's the one stop solution to all of the problem, and it's just always a bad solution.
I could see that because unfortunately I bought a microwave that's supposedly a air fryer built in, and it's not. It's not the same thing. So it's like I don't even use the air fryer function because it just is weird. It's not the same. Because it's just like when you buy like an all-in-one
Yeah, I don't know how that
printer,
would work.
scanner, copier, and it's like no, they're not the same as getting one off for each machine.
Except for
Isn't
Instapot,
it
which
an air fryer?
which sadly, due to capitalism, I think went out of business because they were too effective. Because people were just buying an Instapot and never having to replace it, which is sad.
Ooh,
It's
that is
upsetting.
very
Isn't an air fryer just a tiny convection oven?
Yes.
Isn't that
You
all
know,
it is?
I used to think an air fryer was a tiny convection oven. And I made that argument. And I got little baking sheets where I could like put it up on a wire rack so that it would I would think, oh, the convection oven, that'll grab all of this. But did you hear Mirko? Well, you have to preheat the oven, and the thing about the convection oven is that there's
a
like
fan.
different.
There's a fan.
Yeah, right. You would
Yeah.
think that would work, and it just comes out different when you put it in the air fryer. And I think it's the crust around it because it cooks it so much faster in that smaller convection oven than the regular size convection oven. Because I just used my convection oven instead of the air fryer for a long time. Then I tried the air fryer and I was like, yeah, it's different. It
Is
depends on what you're doing
yeah.
it for. Like
I
fries.
wonder if
way
it's
to-
different.
because
it's totally
I
different.
wonder if it's because it's smaller. It
Yeah.
has a different kind of effect, right?
Oh, it's
And it doesn't have to preheat as much, right?
Yeah. Well, do you have
Air,
to
air,
preheat
air
that? I thought you
air
could-
fryer
I
is
don't
the
have
only way
one.
I'll eat leftovers. If you have leftovers anywhere, I'll never microwave it. It's disgusting. Not even an oven. It's slightly better, but still bad. But you stick any leftover in an air fryer, you're having a good time.
You're joking.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, you take home your restaurant leftovers and you put it. You just dump whatever it is. If it's a Mexican leftovers, you got refried beans, tacos, whatever. Just stick it all in there all at once, and man, it is good.
And if you don't want it
Okay, look,
overcooked, you just put tinfoil over it. But also, I do want to
Yeah.
correct myself. Apparently, within the 3 months that I had heard this, somebody else bought Insta Brands, and they're going to restructure it. So
Yeah, make them break
Yeah.
so you can sell it more.
yes,
It's like, yeah,
Also,
you-
it's-
I know,
yeah,
but
guys
they
were
did
doing
file
too
for
good.
bankruptcy. Yeah.
He's like,
But
y'all did
it's
too good. We gotta shut
chapter,
this down.
It's Chapter 11 bankruptcy. And people get confused about like Chapter 11 versus Chapter 7 bankruptcy. Chapter 11 bankruptcy is exactly for that. It's for like a way, it's a way for revitalizing the business. It's not that your business has failed. And that's where everyone's like, oh, Trump filed for bankruptcy a bunch of times, but he filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, and then they ended up being prosperous companies. Like he's like owned 500 businesses, and 4 of
So
them
in
he
other
filed
words-
for Chapter 11.
So in other
Doesn't-
words, like Chapter 11 is you were too good, so we had to shut you down to basically restructure to
Not
like, hey,
necessarily.
Not
well, like you're talking
Not
about that one,
not
like,
necessarily, but
It is
you were
for
saying it's like
Instapot.
they were too good. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's
for
a very
Instapot.
specific issue with Instapot.
Yes.
It's
I'm
not
not-
the
I
same
wasn't-
as
I
Trump.
wasn't railing on the
well, Trump did
thing,
the same
I'm just
thing.
saying.
He had there were issues, and then it was restructuring, and then the businesses ended up being okay.
Yeah, because there's been a lot of times where the guys made something that was way too well built, and then they have to basically, after like 20 years, we got to redo it. Because I got old machines in my plant.
Yeah,
They're like,
exactly.
they've been running for 50 years. I was like, well, the newer ones, we can't do that because then you'll never buy new machines. So they have to
Yeah,
well, this will fail after 2 years, so you have to rebuild this, rebuld that type of thing.
yeah, exactly.
they have
Yeah,
to build
there-
in
there- yeah,
certain
there
things.
are many reasons to file for like Chapter 11.
Okay. All right. I wasn't trying to
So-
jump on a political thing there. Yeah.
is this next column here like a
I know.
Let's go to the
like a
top.
neg-
Yeah, sorry, I'm
negative?
actually not very good at filling out these. This is my first time. I'm the Steelman notes to make it even stronger,
Yeah.
Oh,
which
just
is like
steel, man.
your idea is too good. I hate to say it, but
Well,
I know-
allows you to gain tools, skills, and know-how.
actually, let's see what. Maybe I might have switched columns logic. No, it's the same.
I would
Yeah,
say
so
Yeah, do you have an idea?
how about what was his claim?
His claim is that you should be able to build at least one piece of furniture in your house.
Oh, it's
Are you substituting the question of the ability to be able to make things with meaning, right? With the ability to make furniture itself. I would say I think my kid would be
I
Yeah.
don't think any of those. I just think you should be able to build a piece of furniture. I mean, you're good at putting words.
yeah.
You're good at transferring ideas and to speech. I'm not, so you might be able to help me with this.
That's okay.
I'm not. I just think building one piece of furniture. If you just moved out, maybe someone just moved out, or you have a house or you rented an apartment, whatever. Building one piece of furniture, and you have no tools or you have no skills. Building one piece of furniture will help you develop skills and give you the tools,
The problem solving skills,
yeah,
right?
well, not even just that. You can understand that, but it'll help you develop hands-on skills. So let's say, because I have a friend that lives in an apartment. He owns an apartment, and he didn't want to hook up his washer and dryer.
Yeah.
'Cause he didn't want to be liable for that.
Oh, I
and,
see.
and he didn't want I was talking to him like it's really not that hard. You literally just screw it in like it's like
Yeah.
a garden hose.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, but it's plumbing. I don't want anything to do with it. It's plumbing. I'm like, but listen, man, this guy's gonna charge you like an extra $50 to screw in a garden hose. You can do this. I believe in you. You know, like, but then it got to regrouting his bathroom. He wanted his bathroom grouted, and I was like, look, a lot of plumbers or a lot of carpenters, a lot of tile guys, like whatever, they don't want to do that. Like your bathroom's not very big. A lot of guys don't want to come out there, spend the time to come out there to regrout. Like it's really not that big of a job. You can do this. You can go online and you can see how that's done, and it's really not that big of a deal. And if you do find someone that's going to do it, they're going to charge up the ass and that's not to
Because it sucks.
that's not yeah, but
Yeah.
they're going to do that to not
waste of
do
their
the
time.
job. You know what I mean? They're gonna hope.
Yeah.
They're hoping you
Outbid
say
themselves.
no. Yeah. But because if you say yes, then it's like, okay, well, I'm getting paid a lot of money to do it, so why not? So if you build a piece of furniture and you get your hands dirty, as simple as a table, a small table, or nothing crazy, like you don't have to build like spiral staircase with like, you know, a crazy newel post. Just a small
let me ask
something.
you.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah,
about
sorry.
a lot about it is building confidence in that you can do it yourself. Being able to learn the
that's-
skills
that's-
of like
yeah.
being able to like go like, well, I either read a book or looked at a YouTube video or something like that, and I'm able to determine what steps to follow and what steps to ignore and what tools I need and what can be
So-
replaced.
Yeah.
Thinking about this, if instead of furniture, you changed an alternator. If instead of furniture you built, I have my kids building computers, right, and trying to figure out how that goes together.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I
I'm a
think those
carpenter,
sorts-
so
yeah,
that's-
that makes
Building
sense.
things of means or value. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Maybe something that's meaningful and gives you what's called self-efficacy, belief in your capacity to do things around DIY, right? So maybe that's the stronger argument. It's good to build self-efficacy in your ability to do things yourself or to DIY.
Yeah, it allows you to
Yeah,
take pride in your own work.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
I
so
went on
something
that
like that
more.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think I went on that
yeah.
more.
Like a smaller
just because I
individual
see more and
wins.
more.
Mhm.
To where,
I
like,
just see
like
more.
they're- You're good. Sorry. Well, I was gonna say is it's a step to like a reasonable wins. So like like smaller stepping stones is like you know what I can change the float in my toilet. I don't need to like know how to be a plumber. I can do this. There's like 4 paragraphs on how to do it. Freaking I can do this. I think
Absolutely.
and I think that's like what you're talking about is like, and it's like it builds up character, it builds up, like your own self-esteem going, you know what? Maybe I don't need to call a guy to regrout my sink, I was like, I can do a silicone bead to make sure I don't got water all over the place.
Yeah, you can definitely do it.
You can do little stepping stones.
Or on the flip side, you find out that you actually can't do these simple menial tasks. At which point you gain humility, which a lot of people need,
Mhm.
and
I like the
they
flip
learn
side.
and they learn to appreciate all the hard work that the a lot of blue collar men are contributing to society.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
that's-
think
that's
the other
for
thing
sure.
too is the other thing too is I just want to throw in real quick though that, a lot of these smaller jobs like repairing like hanging a door, for example, one door, doing a little bit of trim in a bathroom or a little bit of trim in your bedroom, or putting in a bifold door or replacing a bifold door or this kind of thing are on YouTube specifically because it's just like plumbers and electricians and carpenters, like it's just too little of a job to worry about, and it would cost a lot of money to do that. So that's why a lot of those things are on there to take care of those little jobs, and people can do them. You can do them, and to have that confidence to do it, just like she was saying, like the confidence, you totally can do it.
I'm in Orlando, and we got hit by that hurricane a couple days back. But I inherited it's got to be a generator from like 1990. It's old school,
Honda.
and it wasn't working, and so I didn't have much time to take it anywhere. And I just to the point of just researching, I was like, well, what's the common causes here? And a lot of people said to replace the carburetor on these things, and I was like, well, I don't really have time to go buy a carburetor. So I was like, why are people replacing the carburetor for this specific generator? And it's because it got clogged. And so I spent the day before the hurricane hit just taking apart this generator that I have no mechanical skills at all, but breaking it down, and then you do find it's clogged. I was like, oh, I think I got it back together. I put it back together and it was leaking, and it's only because I forgot to tighten a couple screws down. But the damn thing worked. And I was like, damn, man. And in a couple hours in the computer before the hurricane hit, we were good to go and actually had to use it for a couple hours.
Yeah, I had to do that with a PS4 fan, where I had to build it and rebuild it 3 times before I got all the screws and pins right, but eventually that thing worked.
Hell yeah.
Good for you. Right on.
Very cool. And there's a kind of mindset. I call it an engineering mindset, but maybe it fits with building furniture as well. And that is, you got to try something, and figure out what's broken about it and try something else and just keep going back and forth and believe, hey, humans can do this and I'm a human, so eventually I'll get this done.
Eventually. Yeah.
'Cause if you have the ability to actually observe and then go, you know what, this something's different, and I can look and see and establish what I understand is different. If you have that ability to like troubleshoot and move on to the next step, I think then you can be able to do a lot of things.
Yes.
I think people fall into the helplessness
Ooh,
fallacy.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Where they believe that they can't do it. You know, I've learned so many things as a homeowner that in the rest of my life I've never learned. I can change a toilet. I can install a new toilet. I put caulking on my shower today because it needed new caulking. You know,
Nice.
I never thought I would be able to do that. I have no skills whatsoever as far as there's certain things that I learned not to mess with. My first night in my new house, we were installing a new toilet. We cranked the pipe too much, and that was a 12 a midnight call to a plumber. You know,
Oh,
$500
yeah.
later, I was not a happy camper. So I don't mess with plumbing or electrical work. But you know, there's certain things that I can change that I've learned throughout throughout here, and it's not about being helpless. You know, there's certain people that I think they just feel helpless. They're like, no, I can't do this. Like, no, you can learn it. You can do it. You just have to either ask for help, teach yourself, or you know, if it's a lack of ability, obviously ask for help and, you know, get that help hired. But it can be done. Other people do it all the time.
Yeah. It was ever taught to me as a younger builder guy, as a
Screw
younger
around.
carpenter, was
Just try some shit.
yeah, no, it was building a house or building anything for that matter, but it was building a house. It's all about building houses. It's just a series of steps. You do the first step, then you do the next step, and then you do the next step, and then that's all it is. And it can be broken down very easily. And if you know the steps, you just follow the steps, and that's it. It's very simple. It's not this crazy secret. It's pretty simple. And if you don't know what the next step is, just ask somebody; they'll tell you. And that's all it is. It's just a series of steps. Same thing with furniture, just a series of steps.
Until you
Might even be the
cross
same.
the Overton window, and then like it's like okay, now build a nuclear bomb, and it's like, oh well, I'm not Albert
I saw a
Einstein,
movie
and
once.
I never, I'm not Albert
Well, I don't
Einstein.
know
I
what
never
kind
will be.
of. I don't
Yeah,
know what
there-
kind of
there
word
are-
you'd use for a nuclear bomb, but
There are
probably
some
pretty-
humans who will just be able to do things that you can never do, and
Yeah.
so a lot of people don't like. There's a lot of lack of humility, I think, in society today. It's like you ask any person, it's like, are you stupid? Like anyone, top to bottom, is gonna be like, no, I'm not stupid. But we know based on the bell curve that there are people who actually objectively are. So
Yeah,
nobody
so I'd like to disagree
nobody
with
is
that idea.
self-critical.
I'd like to disagree with that idea.
Well,
In my
that
experience,
anyone can be Einstein.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
he wasn't born
Nah,
as Einstein.
nah.
He wasn't, Einstein wasn't born and was able to create a nuclear bomb the next
I think
day,
he was.
or like
Yeah.
by 10 a.m. No, man, it
No,
takes.
wasn't just
I
thought-
agree
he
with.
thought a
I
different
agree
way.
with Matt. Yeah, I agree with Matt. Like, it's a series of steps. There was, all the work that went into him becoming Einstein, going to college, learning math, everything that he had to do and work up until that point where he was able to do it. It can be done. It's just, people say take certain paths in lives, and whether or not you put in that effort, you can do it. It can be done.
Well, no, what I'm saying is that the Goodwill Huntings, they exist. They don't go to school, they
Oh.
don't do anything. They just have a
Kind of
natural
like a
predilection
savant type of thing.
to savant genius. There are these people, and I'm not one of them. Nobody in here is one of them. But there are those people. Those people exist. So we
It's
do
almost
have
like
we do have to
I mean,
we do have to
okay.
engage.
When it
with our
comes to
own
video
limitations.
games, I'd like to say. I'm
Okay,
afraid.
so yeah, exactly, EMAT. When it comes to video games, EMAT is a true savant. Additionally,
Thank you.
savantism has been studied, and young, very, very capable people are always in domains that can be heavily trained with objective, accurate outcomes. Whether it's pitch perfect in playing the violin, or its extraordinary abilities in mathematics. They're never in the more creative fields where you have to bring in different ideas and make something out of it. And that's because you can train anyone to do something if you keep training them in that one thing, but only in those areas that can be predefined. Now, I say that everyone can be brilliant because I say everyone can be strong. Now, technically, if all of us went to the gym and started lifting heavy, we couldn't all be athletes that like compete at the Olympics, but we could all be so strong it's ridiculous in comparison to where we are now. And absolutely, with the exception of people like Bobby, right, who is mentally disabled, adult dependent, right, but other than people with mental disabilities that preclude them, everyone can work to a point where they can do the jobs that are required in society. To me, IQ is like bench pressing skill. Nearly everyone could bench press 130 pounds, but very few people can bench press 130 pounds because the people out there that don't do any lifting aren't at the point where they can get to 130, but nearly everyone can. Same thing with IQ. Even the hardest jobs, like being a surgeon, only require you get up to about 130. And even then, you can get to that point by working towards it. On the other hand, can you be all the way to a point where at like 165 on these scales? And what are these scales even measuring after this first few standard deviations anyway? The truth is that creativity, like the ability to think about how other things could come together, is what we call brilliance. The mathematical brilliance of Einstein was not mathematical brilliance, but intuitive physical brilliance, which was something desperately needed by the people who were just math wonks and called genius for having so much mathematical ability. So I believe that almost everybody in their everyday life is brilliant, as Emat put it, at playing video games or whatever it is they do every day. They get better and better and stronger in that way. However, if everyone had their own thing that they were doing over and over and building up those muscles, but then we said the definition of strength is bench pressing skill, you'd be like, what? I do overhead presses every day. I just don't do the bench press and I'm weak there. You would be mismeasured. And in that way, IQ mismeasures man. And that bell curve is just a question of that one bell curve, of that one way of measuring people. Well, and by the way, it's a necessity of sampling bell curves. It's not a truth about the distribution of populations. It is a necessity of the outcome, a probability distribution function around the median as you sample over and over and over again.
Well, and I like your comparison with the weightlifting because, yeah, I mean, everyone can train their hearts out. They can train their bodies to such an extreme extent that they turn out like Arnold Schwarzenegger, where they're racked. But Arnold Schwarzenegger doesn't even hold a candle to Brian Shaw, who is 450 pounds of lean muscle. Like, so he is a lean, but he's fairly lean muscle, and he's like 6 foot, 6, something like that. So there are people who are genetically created better physically than others. There is nothing that you can do to ever catch him. And there's nothing Arnold Schwarzenegger could ever do to be even close to Brian Shaw.
Sure. Now here's the question. He's just too far out of reach. What in life are we doing as human beings that matters, other than a literal sports competition?
Well, I think the argument.
Well, no, I'm talking about intellectually. It's the same thing. Yeah, intellectually, you have the same idea where there are people who you can never catch. No matter what you do, you can't.
I think that's
what came into my head. What came into my head was that I remember seeing a picture, and it was a chipmunk and a fish trying to climb a tree, and it was like, I can't remember the caption, but essentially it was like, well, you're not going to know your strengths until you're in your environment or whatever. But if you put the same chipmunk and the fish in the water, You know what I'm saying? Like the chipmunk obviously is going to climb the tree a lot better than the fish, but the fish is going to swim a lot better in the water than the chipmunk. That's kind of what I was getting at, what I was seeing when you were saying that.
I understand, because there should be like a native environment that like some people are gonna be able to capitalize better than others. I'm not saying. I don't think we should rule it out if you are not hitting the same plane as somebody else you're looking at. I think you still have the opportunity to try. So like my biggest thing, so say your car stops, we're going back to the mechanical stuff, and all you go is, I don't know what happened, and then you just call somebody to help you out. Like, you haven't investigated nothing. You just, like, that's as far as you decided to learn, like how you decided to investigate. And then somebody pulls up and goes, you're out of gas. I was like, well, that's, these are things that you could learn, at least get out of the basic ways of, like, not getting personally in this. But I mean, if it was like, oh, your car stops and it's like, oh, because your engine blew out. Okay, well, that's a whole different learning level. But at least you should be able to see if it's on the same level, like if it's a different
There
train.
ain't no gas in it.
Yeah. I was like, there are different levels of every training, option. I think that's what, like, everyone's going to have their specific specialities, because I think everyone has their ability to learn a certain way, and then sometimes I pick up stuff better on certain things than other people do.
Well, I think most of it is not, it's definitely not genetics, it's your background and how you grow up and how you, your environment, when you were learning these skills and things like that. Most of that is what it is, hey, if your parents, like, bought you a violin and gave you lessons and encouraged you to continue playing even though it was loud and annoying, and went, hey, you should practice more, things like that, and helped you with that, drove you to wherever teacher can teach you violin, then you're gonna be better off at learning the violin.
Yeah, you're gonna be more comfortable with it. You're gonna pick it up.
Yeah, if you went to ice skating lessons every day for 10 years, you're going to be a better ice skater than somebody who has never even been in a snowy climate or near an ice rink.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a great point. I feel like there's also you had a great, is it Sayus had a great point too. It all depends upon the measure which you're being, graded on. And what that characteristic is. I think you'll find that some of the most smartest individuals in all of history were also socially awkward. They didn't know how to read people. They couldn't communicate well. And I think you'll still find that today too, even with some of the brightest minds. They're so ingrained in the structure of the rules and the postulates that they live by that some of those other human characteristics have kind of faded around, and that's not a muscle that they flex, kind of thing, right?